In the last episode, we were enjoying our fancy night in Sarasota, staying at a hotel. We got to enjoy the hot tub and we watched the construction with this giant crane across the street. But then it was time to leave our hotel in Sarasota, and we decided on our way out we were going to stop at the Selby Botanical Gardens to see the exhibit that they had with some Salvador Dali inspired artwork throughout the gardens. And this was a really fun stop. I'm glad we checked it out before we continued on our trip.
So don't let the weight of the world slow you down. And if you search for the meaning of life, it won't be found. So take your insecurities and leave them all behind. Let's learn to make the most of our time.
The Dali exhibit consisted of little hints of surrealism planted throughout the gardens, like a piano in the pond or eyeballs in the plants in the greenhouse. And it was actually very fun walking around. Some of the elements are very obvious, and some of them are things that you have to pay attention to and look for.
Reminds me of Legends of the Hidden Temple.
It does. Toward the back of the gardens, there's a butterfly enclosure that you can walk into.
At the door.
There's so many. Look, that's the one that we used to have at our house. The golf critter.
We have one of those in Springfield too.
I didn't realize we were right on the water. It's nice.
Are we down there?
The water?
Are we down there?
Yeah. Not only are the gardens beautiful here, but you get the extra bonus of having this situated right on the waterfront where you can look across to the bridge and downtown Sarasota. It's really a pretty unique location. Some of the other imagery that you'll find throughout the gardens as part of the Dali exhibit include cracked eggs and things that are related to the Fibonacci spiral or the golden ratio. Dali was very interested in this sequence and this pattern that you see repeated over and over in the natural world. As we kept going farther down the gardens, there was a tree that was using some of the roots to create the trunk of an elephant, and it also encompassed butterfly wings, another thing that Dali really liked. Oh God, what are you doing?
Me in the morning.
What does a manatee sound like?
Probably hitting it.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's silent. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, I hear it now. Sweet.
In the field just behind this pergola, they were setting up tables for a private event. This would be an awesome place to have a wedding or an anniversary party right in the middle of the gardens. The gardens here kind of remind me of gardens that we have in New Jersey called Grounds for Sculpture, because they're doing the Salvador Dali exhibit, so there's like cool little art things mixed in with the plants and the botanical stuff. So it makes it an interesting mixture, and it's kind of fun to like look for the little things from the Salvador Dali exhibit. And plus, it's waterfront, so I mean, I don't think we've ever been to a botanical garden that's waterfront. It's like awesome views.
Put my toes in the water.
A nice bonus. Speaking of Patrick in the morning.
That's what I look like.
A very muscular back. Living in South Jersey in the Pine Barrens, we mostly see pine trees and sandy soil and seagulls. So it's always a treat when we get to travel somewhere where the plants and the animals look so different from what we're used to. At several places throughout the gardens, you'll see wooden crutches leaning against things or holding up tree branches. And to Dali, the image of the crutch was a way of showing the things that we lean on, either physically or emotionally, in his artwork. It was a fun thing to look for around the gardens. We headed over to the Selby House and the famous banyan trees that are right out front that Marie Selby planted herself. One of the other plants that these gardens are known for are epiphytes. They have a large collection of these plants, such as orchids and bromeliads, that can grow on other trees. They don't have to have their own soil. It's a very interesting group of plants in this tropical environment. At about this time, we were starting to get pretty hungry, so we went into the Selby House. They have a small cafe in there where you can get some pretty healthy food options. We got a few things, and we were able to find a seat out on the patio, which was so nice to sit there and really enjoy the gardens while we got something to eat, and then figured out where we wanted to go from there. There's a children's rainforest garden, so we figured it's probably pretty fun. We should go check that out too. The rainforest garden is definitely worth checking out for children or adults, because who doesn't love a good rope bridge? This is such a different world compared to the short, stubby pine trees that we're used to in the Pine Barrens. Coffee plant. Doesn't look like much. Very important. tonight was the second night that we didn't have anything booked ahead of time. And as we were leaving the gardens, our plan was to drive a little bit northeast toward the interior of Florida. And I had called ahead to a campground. They said that they had an open spot, so we started to head in that direction, but things definitely did not go exactly according to plan on this day, but we'll get into that in the next video.
Well, you worried about you and me, the injustice, the next president to be, the news and what you hear, your career. It's time for you to face those fears, and it's all fair to be aware, and I'll be there, so don't be scared. Just take a deep breath,